All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and dive into a couple just little topics and stuff about compression and kind of the way compression works. This is going to be kind of a baseline here. And uh, basically, the first thing that we're going to talk about is let me bring this up. All right, so the first thing that we should talk about is probably your threshold, right? So your ratio, I mean. So your ratio is going to basically be the amount of compression in a ratio form. So basically a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's squashing it down twice to the twice per every decibel that you're bringing down. So a, a smaller ratio is going to give you a smoother compression, while a higher ratio is going to be like an over compression. So the smoother compression typically you use on something like vocals or like on a mix bus to kind of glue it together, and a heavier ratio you'd tend to use on like drums and bass and that kind of stuff. So um just to kind of show you the idea, okay, we have a ratio of 2-to-1 here. Let's go ahead and turn on our compressor, and since we have it on a mix bus here. Let's just go ahead and change this to a 4-to-1 ratio. Okay, give it a little bit of squish. Okay, let's check out what this sounds like. Okay, you can kind of see, just kind of gives it a little bit of glue, right? Now, if you were gonna really squish it down and you were gonna do like a 8-to-1 ratio, you can hear the difference here. Kind of getting quite a bit of squishing going on there. So let's go ahead and do this 4-to-1. That should be just fine, right? Now, the next section here we'll take a look at is the threshold. Okay, so basically the threshold is going to be kind of your sweet spot. Okay, we want to lower the compression, or we want to lower the threshold until you begin to see the gain reduction, the loudest parts of your audio. So it's just barely starting to catch the peaks without overly compressing all the way down to the quieter sections. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right. Now, next, we want to look at mastering like the attack and the release times. So the faster the attack time is fantastic for kind of controlling any type of like transients, right? Um, like the initial hit of a snare drum or the attack of the pick of the guitar, those types of things. It can add like a little bit of like clarity, maybe a little bit of punch to the mix, but also a slower attack time can smooth out kind of the overall performance. Usually slower attacks are for, vocals or bass lines or something like that. And so once again, if we're trying to kind of smooth over everything, then what we'll do is we'll kind of lower the attack and or increase the attack and kind of see what what we can kind of pull out of here. Okay. So the next section is using any type of side chain or parallel compression, anything like that. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we don't have the vocals in here, but we're gonna side chain the vocal uh, bus in here. Okay, let me see here. Boom. All right. Now, whenever we bring on the vocal bus too, or we actually could do this. Your picture and your ladder, it tells me rapidly that we don't need to pay, we don't need to be so perfectly we don't need to carry on along the way of stopping just once or every now and then, looking at your picture and your ladder, it tells me rapidly that we don't need to pay, we don't need to be so perfectly we don't need to carry on along the way of stopping just once or every now and then, looking at your picture and your ladder, it tells me rapidly that we don't need to pay, we don't need to be so perfectly we don't need to carry on along the way of stopping just once or every now and then, looking at your picture and your ladder. All right, so what we did exactly with the side chain there is we're allowing the plugin to interact with another channel. In this case, it's interacting with the vocal bus, which has all the vocals on it. Now, what side chaining does here is it's taking the signal that we have on the mix bus. So we're taking all the instruments that are on the mix bus. That's what we're affecting with this compressor plugin. It's all of a sudden starting to duck out whenever the vocals come in, making a little bit more room for the vocals to come into the mix. Now, I did also do another video on another technique to do this, which is using EQ to kind of duck the frequencies and make a little bit more room for the vocals. You can do this with compression as well. Either one works, and they have different, seemingly different types of effects by doing it. So basically, the side chain capacity here right here that we have allows us to sidechain the vocals or the kick drum to the bass, vocals to the mix bus, whatever. Now all of a sudden we can have the mix bus ducking out for the vocals, creating more room for it. Now the sidechain, the filter allows us to basically create a high and a low pass filter to be able to cut out some frequencies so it's not cutting out a bunch of low end that might be rumbling around in the vocal chain and causing it to duck out the bass and the kick drum on the mix bus, those types of things. So you want to make sure that you set that up, and that's all kind of variable based on the type of music you're working in. Generally, what I usually do is somewhere between 120 to 150 hertz, give or take, 10 or 20, depending on how it is. Usually is kind of good for your low. That lets the vocals still have a little bit of body in the mix, but it doesn't, necessarily affect the low end of the mix at all. And then your high cut, generally you're cutting somewhere in the usually 3 to 5,000 range. I have this one a little lower, but it just sounds right. So once again, they're not rules, they're more like suggestions in this regard. So once again, I'll show you kind of what this sounds like before it, and we'll see what it sounds like once I turn it on. Stopping just once or every now and then, looking at your picture and your ladder, it tells me rapidly that we don't need to pay, we don't need to be so perfectly we don't need to. All right, guys, that's basically it. Just a quick tip here with compression, the way compression works. Just went ahead and used the stock plugin here in StudioOne. No fancy plugin or anything like that. Just kind of showing you the basics of how a compressor works and even, how to sidechain it and that kind of stuff. Now, if you want to check out the song that I have here, this is actually a song I wrote. It's already been released. Very, very cool song. Very, very excited whenever I released it. But I went ahead and turned off a lot of the effects and everything I had on it to show you kind of more of a bare bones tracking of what I had, how this compressor works in this regard. So if you want to check this out, there will be a link to this song and to my other music down in the description. There's also a bunch of affiliate links for products from Unison, products from WA Productions, and a bunch of other waves, all that kind of stuff. At the same time, down there, there's a list of the equipment I use, such as microphones, interfaces, that kind of stuff. If you want to scope any of that stuff out and grab any of it, you can do so as well. All that stuff is affiliate links. It's all marked as affiliate. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give me a kickback and allow me to, keep making more content and stuff for you guys, all right? So go ahead and scope all that stuff out. You want to grab something, please use one of my links. You want to go ahead and throw a comment down in the comment section, please do so. Smash the like button. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, anything that you like, you don't like. You got any criticisms, that's cool too. But hey, just because it's the internet doesn't mean that you don't have to be an adult. Just be an adult, guys. If you got criticisms or anything like that, it's cool. I get it. Far more receptive to it if you act like an adult. I really truly appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Thanks. Carried on along the way, stopping just once or every now and then, looking at your picture.